Greetings and welcome to another video in our series about VoiceAttack, the Elite VA plugin and Elite Dangerous. In this episode, we're going to look at some basic commands to deploy your landing gear, your cargo scoop, and turn your lights on and off. We're going to use two files today, which are the status.txt and the bindings.txt. That should have all the info we need. So let's make a command for our landing gear to begin with. Open up the profile and we want to do a new command. We're going to make two commands, one for deploying the gear and one for retracting the gear. You could theoretically make it as one big command. I found it easier to have them separate as it gives you a bit more flexibility. So we're going to make the deploy landing gear first. We can do some dynamic commands here. We can do the square bracket, deploy, semicolon, bend, lower. Any more we can put in there? Deploy, extend, lower. That gives us three possibilities, and then we could do landing here. We could also make landing optional. We could do square bracket, semicolon, square bracket. So doing the semicolon at the very end makes that word optional. And now we've got deploy gear, deploy landing gear, and all should work. So the next thing we're going to do isn't pressing the key for the landing gear. We want to put a check in to make sure we're in the right game state. So we want to be in normal space and not docked or landed. If we go to the status file, we can see here that supercruise equals false, landed equals false, and docked equals false. Now what we need to do is do a conditional check. We want to use a condition builder. That one there. We want to go, let's do the docked one first. So if docked equals true or landed equals true or supercruise equals true, we don't want the command to run. We want to exit straight out again. Okay, that, and then we go into the condition there, and when this block is reached, exit command if condition is met. And that should then exit the command straight away and not do any other actions. What you could do if you wanted, go down to write to log, a little bit of text in there saying command could not be executed. Okay, that, and we'll do done. I'll pop into the game quick. Handily, I'm on a planet, so we can test a few bits and pieces. If we put the gear down, I'll lower myself onto the ground, deploy gear. And it's now said the command could not be executed. So if we now just take off quickly. Now the landing gear is already down at the moment. So if I say deploy gear, it now works, the command runs. We're good on that part. Let's go back to VoiceAttack, back into the command. So at the moment, we're not doing anything other than checking to see if we're in a position where we can actually deploy the gear. Next thing we want to do is press the key. So if we go into the bindings, find the gear. There we go, landing gear toggle. So we just want to grab that. Set it to a variable, paste that in, and away we go. And now we've got the command where it will press the key. And then, as I say, this case, we've got the landing gear already down. Deploy gear. And that's retracted it because VoiceAttack at the moment doesn't know about the landing gear, doesn't know whether it's deployed or retracted. Back to the status file. There we go, gear. So what we can do is we can take that there, do another conditional. There we go. If, and we know at the moment that it's retracted and it's currently false. So we can say if the landing gear is true, as in it's deployed, we can then go and we can do we can put that into red because it's a warning. We can then also, if we want to, either do a text-to-speech or we can do play random sounds. I'm going to use the text-to-speech for now because I can customize it and do what I want. If we want to do more, we can say more random ones. Semicolon, here is already down. We could have as many variations as we want in there. And if we OK that, deploy gear.
It's already down.
There we go. It tells us in the text, and you get the voice saying the gear is already down. Perfect. We've done that part. Back into the command. What we want to do now is we want the key to press if the gear is not down. We go into there and we do other, advanced, and then we want else. Move that up to there. What we're doing now is if the gear is already true, as in deployed, tell us that it's already deployed. Else, and it can only be false in this case because it's a boolean, true or false. Press the key. Deploy gear. Gear is deployed. We know that's working. Deploy gear.
The gear is already down.
Now we can go back into the command and we can say if we want, locate that, move it down there, delete that, so the landing gear is deployed. Then we can just get rid of that in there. Okay, all the way back out. Deploy gear.
The gear is down.
Oh, and then just one little thing, I want to change that to maybe green instead of red. Back into there, edit the command. Because green is good, red is bad. I'm going to type a little description. I want a category, and there'll be ship commands there. So that's a nice, relatively easy command just to deploy the landing gear. Now we want to do one to retract the landing gear. What we can do is we can go duplicate. We can change in there to what can we have instead of extend? Get rid of that for the second. We'll just have retract and raise. We want to leave that to be the same, but now we want the opposite to be true. If it's already retracted, we don't want to try and retract it again. We just need to change that to and then we can just go in here and do already fine there. And then we just want to change that to the landing gear is. Landing gear is up. Now that should work nicely. Retract landing gear.
The landing gear is raised.
Made a little bit of a boo-boo there. What did we do wrong there? A moment, that says, oh, hang on, yeah, true. No, it should be right. The landing gear equals false. It's already raised. Retract landing gear.
The landing gear is raised.
Okay, that's worked. Deploy gear. Deploy gear.
It's down.
Retract gear.
The landing gear is raised.
Maybe it's a weird quirk with VoiceAttack, maybe. Raise gear.
The landing gear is already retracted.
Deploy gear.
It's down.
Deploy gear.
The gear is already down.
Retract gear.
The landing gear is raised.
Retract gear.
The gear is already up.
There you go. Sorted. That works nicely. So we've got that command there. Tweak the responses how you want to, but you got the core functionality. What we can now do is we can do the same command, but for the cargo scoop. So if we go into here, we can do copy that, duplicate, and now we can do that bit there. Cargo scoop. And now we need to go into the status.txt and we want to look for the cargo scoop, which is that one. We copy that. And again, we don't want the cargo scoop command to work if we're not in a position to deploy the cargo scoop. What we need to do now is change that to that. And we need to just change that. Copy that out of there. We just need to change the old TTS. Okay, and then we go into here. We need to change the variable, so we need to find that in the bindings file. There you go, toggle cargo scoop. Do that there. And then we can then just change from there. It's deployed. There we go. And then we give it a quick test. Lower cargo scoop.
The scoop is down.
Lower cargo scoop.
It's already down.
So that works nicely. We go back in. And then we can do the same thing again, duplicate that, and then just change that to well, we could, really, I guess we could do this as well. I'll change it on the other one. Go back quickly and do it on this one here. We'll now with cargo is optional. Need to go to here. We need to obviously change that back to the one there. Hang on, one there. Change that to get that out. I'll change the key in a second while I've got this in the clipboard. Just quickly do this. There, quick, and raise scoop.
The scoop gear is raised.
Right, a bit of the word in it. Let's go quickly and change that. Missed a bit.
The landing gear is already retracted.
And that's the thing with VoiceAttack. Sometimes, well, it's not VoiceAttack, the Windows speech recognition, it can mishear things. You've got to be careful with the syllable length of phrases. Ideally, you'd want 3 syllables or more. That'll do more voice training. Okay, so I'll just tweak that on the phrases. Raise scoop.
The scoop is already up.
Deploy scoop.
The scoop is deployed.
Deploy scoop.
The scoop is already deployed.
So we've now made 2 commands, one for the cargo scoop, one for the landing gear. And we can also do another one for the lights. But there's an odd thing with the lights. The ship has 1 light mode, but the SLV has 2, a low beam and a high beam. So we need to do something a little different here. We'll make the simple command to turn the lights on and off in the ship first, which is again just going in and copying the other 2 primarily. So let's do the deploy that one there, duplicate that. So now we want to get rid of that for the moment. We'll keep it simple for the moment. Lights on. Nice and simple. Now with the lights on, theoretically you could have the lights on anywhere. You could have them in the super cruise, in a station when we're landed. We might get rid of this bit in here. Although in super cruise it'd be a bit pointless having them on, but you know. What we'll do is we'll just get rid of the docked and the landed, and we'll leave the super cruise one in for the time being. If you want to take it out, by all means you can do. And now we need to go in and change, obviously, the status. So where's lights? We go lights. So if the lights equal true, at the moment we know that they're false. To say the lights are already on. If you don't want the confirmation, you can always you can just leave this bit blank if you want. You don't have to have it telling you that they're already on, or they're already deployed. And we'll do and we'll copy that out into the clipboard. That. Just take that first one there. And I'll change the key in a second. Now I want the key binding for the lights. So you've got the buggy light there, you see. A slightly different button. Or could be a slightly different button. Ship spotlight toggle. Change that to that. Give it a test in the game. So where they've got the time, I'll have the little light switch in a second. Lights on.
The lights are down.
Oops. Wording. Normally copy and paste stuff if you get it ever slightly wrong. Lights on. Also, we've got that duplicate. The lights are now on. Lights on.
The lights are on.
Lights on.
The lights are already on.
So we've got the lights on. Can now do a lights off by doing the old duplicate. Off. I just want to reverse that. Lights off. Change that in there as well. We don't want that completely. Need to go back into other command and do that one and change it in there. Before we do anything else, I'll go back in on the lights on and put that completely. Now if we go and test it quick. Lights off.
The lights are now off. They're off.
Oh dear, dear. I want that one. And because I missed the semicolon. There you go. That'll be random again. Lights off.
The lights are already off.
Lights on.
The lights are now on.
Lights off.
The lights are now off.
So we've got landing gear, cargo
The
scoop.
landing gear is already retracted.
Thank you. And the lights. But with the SRV, there's a little bit more to it as it has two modes. Deploy gear.
The landing gear is deployed.
So if we land, and I'll get out in the SRV. So now we deployed in the SRV, we can see it's got low beam on already. And if we say lights off,
The lights are now off.
it puts this into high beam. If we go back to the status file, we can see that SRV high beam equals true. I'll go back into the game quickly and turn it off again. Now it says false. Low beam's on, still false. We can now tell whether we're in high beam or not. So this means we can go and do a few bits in the command. But we can say lights off. We can put a check in on this section here. Put a check in on that section to see if we're actually in the ship or the SRV. If we go and look in here, and we go, where's what I'm looking for? Ship. The ship one gone. There you go, in mothership, that's what I'm looking for. We can say yeah, we'll do the whole section so we can do two separate sections. So if in mothership equals true, then we want to move that up there like so, and we're going to move that down to the end. So this whole section here is checking to see if we're first of all in the mothership. And if we are, we'll then do that section. So if I OK that, do that, go back into the game. Oops. Lights off. So the command's been recognised, but nothing's happened because we're not in the mothership. We go back into VoiceAttack again. We can now do another section for here. At the end, there we go. Actually, we can copy this little section there. Copy that, paste it, and if we say if in SRV equals true, we'll find it in SRV. There we go, in SRV. And now we can say if in SRV equals true, and then we can do copy that again. I know we're duplicating, but sometimes you have to do that. But we're limiting what code will run by the mothership and SRV check. That's going to work, but what I want to do is go into the bindings and find the SRV light toggle. Just so we're using the right keybind, just in case you have it separate. I have the same for both, but you know, some people might have it different. That's the buggy headlight button. Because if the lights are off, it will just do the normal bit. We also need to be aware of the high beam bit there. So now I need to think about the sequence. So if it's off, tell us it's already off. Else, and then we want to put an if in here. Else if I'm going to move, might have to move these around a little bit. We're just experimenting at the moment. So else if that equals true, might even need to do two else ifs possibly. We want to press the buggy, we want to press the button to turn the lights off once. Actually, no, tell a lie, we'll do it this way. If, we're going to do two conditions. There's the light. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Actually, we'll take it from there. We want to do a double condition there. So if the high beam is false and lights equals true, we can only be in low beam. I want to copy that, paste it in there, duplicate the lights button. I'm just going to put a very small pause in there, just so we got a little bit of wiggle room, as it were. But yeah, so now what we're saying is, if we're in the SRV and the lights are false, tell us the lights are already off. Else, if the high beam equals false and lights equals true, we want to press the lights button twice and then we can say the lights are off. Else, we should be in high beam and we'll just turn the lights off by pressing the key once. Then we'll give it a quick go and see if it works. Lights off.
The lights are off.
Perfect. Lights off.
They're already off.
Great. And therefore I put it into high beam manually. Lights off.
The lights are now off.
Wonderful. It worked. First time. Yes. It's always nice when you do a command and it works first time. So that's turning the lights off in the buggy. We now need to think about the same thing for turning the lights on. So we can do it maybe a different way with the lights off, because we want low beam and high beam, as opposed to lights off. Lights off.
The lights are now off.
We just want to turn it off completely. Let's pop back into the VoiceAttack. I started making a command for the SRV's low beam and high beam. So I was trying to make it as one big command, combining low beam and high beam, and it didn't quite go the way I wanted it to. So I've scrapped that and I've made two separate commands, one for low beam and one for high beam. There we go. So this is the low beam one. Make sure we're in the SRV, and if we're not, the command exits. The first thing we want to do is check to see if the light's already on. So if the lights are on and high beam is off, it will tell us if the lights are already on, because we're only interested in the low beam. If the lights are off and high beam is off, we'll press the lights button once to put it into low beam, and it will tell us we're in low beam. Actually, I just suddenly thought about something. I could move that down to the end, and I will then disable that for the moment and we'll test it. It saves a bit of the duplication, but we'll see. Going back to where we were, if the lights are off and the high beam is off, move that up there, you dingle. And that down there. If no lights are on, we want to press the button once. If, however, the high beam is true, we want to go back to low beam, so we have to press the button twice. There you go. So let's see if my subtle change works. Low beam on.
The lights are now on.
Low beam on.
They're already on. The lights are now on.
Right, that's the problem. It's not kicking out again. So let's go back into here quickly. And what I will do is we can just put a little exit in there. Exit command. Done. I have to tweak this on the high beam one as well. Low beam on.
They're already on.
Great. Now we're in the high beam. Low beam on.
The lights are now on.
Low beam on.
The lights are now on.
Great. So that's now working. We go back into here, and then we can then tweak that command a little bit. We can get rid of that. We go into the high beam one, and the high beam is kind of the same. So we're basically checking again, are we in the SRV, yes or no? If we are, and now we're saying if the lights are on and the high beam is on, we want to tell us the lights are already on. Technically, I could mostly get rid of the lights there, but I'll leave it in there. And the other thing I want to do is move that down to the very, very bottom. We can then get rid of that and that other exit command. So if the lights are on, we want to come out. Else, if the low beam is on and the high beam is off, we press the key once to turn the high beam on. Else, if the high beam is off, we push the button twice to turn the lights on. High beam on.
High beam is on.
High beam on.
High beam on.
High beam on.
The lights are already on.
Low beam on.
The lights are now on.
Lights off.
The lights are now off.
Lights off.
The lights are now off.
So you go, there's some commands for your landing gear, the cargo scoop, and the lights both in the ship and the SRV. The profiles are available for download from my website. Link will be in the description. Copy them into your own profile, modify, change, do what you want with them. They're just there as a guide. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, what do you think, put them in the comments section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you've enjoyed the video or found it useful, click the like button, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe too, and share the video out. Until the next one, take care, and I'll see you soon. Toodles!